And welcome back to SWBA Today. This is your host, Rico. And in today's show, we're going to be looking at the SWBA scoreboard. So we're looking at 5 games that took place yesterday, and we're looking at the key storylines that came out of those games. We're also going to be looking at an SWBA future prospect in co-web. And so let's go ahead and start with the first portion of the show, and that is the SWBA scoreboard. And looking at the 5 games that took place, there were some great storylines that came out of this game. And so let's start, I think, with one of the bigger storylines is that the Atlanta Hawks beat the Golden State Warriors 124-115. And this was all about the Atlanta Hawks and their ability to really beat the Golden State Warriors up in the paint. 60-44, they win in that category. And I think that Okongwu did a terrific job inside. 22 points. He had 6 assists. He had 12 rebounds in this one. And then also, too, Trae Young had a very good game. He had 25 points. He had 5 rebounds. He had 10 assists. He was +3 as well. Another strong game from Dyson Daniels. He's a player that we've talked about as being perhaps maybe the most improved player in SWBA this year. 12 points +4. He had 6 assists, 11 rebounds, and once again, 3 steals. This guy is the cookie monster. And so when you look on the other side of the ball with the Golden State Warriors, Jimmy Butler had a pretty good game with 25 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal. He was +11 to lead the Golden State Warriors. And then they also got some good contributions here from some of the younger pieces in Moses Moody, and also too Brandon Pozinski played very well. He had 19 too, but it just was not enough for the Golden State Warriors. They even got a pretty good contribution from Jonathan Kuminga, who had 16, but he scored 16 at the half and did not score again. And so look, the Golden State Warriors, they're still trending in the right direction because when you look at their overall record since they've gotten Jimmy Butler here over the last 10, they're 7 out of their last 3, and over a 20-game sample size, they're 16-4. And so still looking pretty good. This is going to be a challenge for this team now that they don't have Steph Curry right now. And so we'll see what happens to the Golden State Warriors. A good win for the Atlanta Hawks. And so next up, we got the Milwaukee Bucks versus the up and down Sacramento Kings. And so look, the Milwaukee Bucks take care of business in this one, 114-108. And I think that this was all about Giannis, and this was all about his ability to turn it on, because in the first half, he only had 9 points, but in the third quarter, he had 23 points alone. And so he finished with 32 points in this one. He had 17 rebounds. He had 3 assists, and he had a steal and a block shot. But what's very impressive about this is that that was the 48th double-double for Giannis, and he did not shoot a 3-point shot in this one. And so you have got to give Giannis a lot of credit. For the people out there that say it's a 3-point shooting league, you see that Giannis is able to still get downhill and be super effective. And then on top of that, look, he got a very good contribution in the fourth quarter, especially from Gary Trent Jr., who scored 11 points. And so that was big for the Milwaukee Bucks, as they're now 10 games over 500 without Dame Lillard. So very impressive for the Bucks to get this win. And the Kings, look, they have got to figure it out. They have been very up and down. They have a lot of talent on this team with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, but they still have not really figured it out. And they've kind of been spinning the wheels, especially since they have lost their De'Aaron Fox via the trade. So next up, Pacers versus the Nets. And so the Pacers take care of the Nets once again, 108-103. And I think really the key out of this is that they get Tyrese Halliburton back. He gets yet again another double-double. In fact, in this particular game, he had 16 points. He had 12 assists. He also had 8 rebounds. He was +8. And then Pascal Siakam, man, he went Yahtzees in this one. He had 26 points. He had 6 assists, and he also had 3 rebounds. He was +12. He really had it going. And I think that, look, you got to give the Nets a lot of credit. They did compete back. They got back within a possession here on a 20-2 run, but ultimately it was the Indiana Pacers and their ability to take care of business. They've now won 6 of their last 7 games, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. And so right now, the Indiana Pacers, man, they have gotten healthy, and they're trending in the right direction. And so next up, we look at the Wizards and the Knicks. And so this was very much a game in which the Knicks, for the most part, really really controlled this, but you have to give the Wizards a lot of credit because they battled all the way back. They got this thing to within one after the Knicks were up by so many points. And so, they were really led in talking about the Wizards with Jordan Poole, who had 25 points in this one, 3 assists. They got a good contribution here from Keyshawn George, a rookie, 15 points, 4 assists, 3 steals there. So they got something from him. And Marcus Smart off the bench. We know just what a savvy veteran he is. 17 points. He had 2 steals, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, played with a ton of energy. But this was all about the Knicks, and this was all about their star power. Mikal Bridges, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on the day. They got a good contribution from Karl Anthony Towns. He had 31 and 11 plus 20 in the plus minus box score. And then OG Anunoby, he had a very good one as well. 23 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals. And so the Knicks, they roll, but they've had some bad losses here. And so quietly, this is a Knicks team that is 4-4 without Jalen Brunson. And then the last game of the night, the Chicago Bulls against the Los Angeles Lakers. And so look, the Lakers, they have LeBron James, they have Luka. No problem. No, absolutely not. The Chicago Bulls take care of the Lakers 146-115 in this one. And the Chicago Bulls just absolutely run the Los Angeles Lakers off of the court. In fact, the Chicago Bulls had 30 fast break points in this one. And listen to this. When you talk about points in the paint, just to give you a perspective, the Chicago Bulls had 74 points in the paint to the Lakers 42. Just absolutely continue to get downhill. And by the way, Josh Giddey almost has the fourth, I believe, quadruple double in NBA history. I think it was last done by David Robinson in 1994. He had 15 points in this one, 17 assists and 8 steals and 10 rebounds. So he almost has just a quadruple double in this one. So he had a spectacular one. And then Kobe White, man, he was spectacular. 36 points in this, plus 28, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 12 of 17. Just a great performance for the Chicago Bulls as they continue to put it together right now. And so a good win for them. And so now jumping into the next portion of the show and looking at the SWBA future prospect. And so my future prospect that we are going to take a look at is going to be Cole Webb. And so look, Cole Webb, I think, is a player that if you do not know Cole Webb, you are going to know him very shortly because he plays for the University of Virginia. And look, right now, the University of Virginia, they are in the ACC. I think it is one of the tougher conferences in all of college basketball. And they have, I believe, 5 teams that are ranked in the top 25. So it's some supreme competition out there. But with Cole Webb, look, we know that Johnny Baldwin is a player that we're going to talk about on this show. He's actually slated to be a lottery pick. Some people think he is going to be just off the charts once he gets to the SWBA. But nobody's talking about his young freshman point guard in Cole Webb, who I think, man, there's a lot of stuff that you just love about him. And so he is a 6'6", 214 freshman shooting guard. I think he could be really a combo guard. I think he can go either the 1 or the 2. He's a second on the team with 11.6 points a game. And then he's averaging 2.6 rebounds a game. And yes, you're saying to yourself, all right, it's not a lot of numbers, but he's actually second on the team as far as offensive rebounds are concerned at second there at 0.7. And so this guy's tremendous as far as hitting the glass. And he is an outstanding three-point shooter. He leads Virginia right now as far as three-point shooting. He's got 28 on the year. He's shooting 36.8 and leads his team. I mean, that is a terrific percentage and something that, look, if that translates to the SWBA level, look, there are a lot of teams that would love to see him right now. And, starting with the fact that he's a freshman, look, I think that he's still got some time to get a little bit stronger. I think that maybe there's some more growth here, which suggests, man, that he could be elite. We don't know what his wingspan is ultimately going to be. And I just love the fact that, man, he is a guy that I love his quickness, and I think it's something that is going to get better. But he has some elite shot creation. And we're going to see that in a second. But his ability to really just rock a defender and get them off balance and get to his spot, I don't know if I've seen anything like this so far. And so, man, he's been super impressive there. And then I love the fact that, man, his handle is brilliant, because his handle at times, it seems like he has defenders on a string. And so I think that that's something that can get even better. Now, he's a good passer. He's not a great passer. And so I think that once he becomes maybe a great passer, now you're starting to look at a guy that could become maybe like a triple-double type of threat, but he would have to get a little bit more better as far as his rebounding is concerned. But the points are there, and I think that his assists can definitely go up as well too as he goes along, because right now he's second on the team with 2.5 assists a game. And so I think that as you put the basketball in his hands some more, you're going to see that go up as well. And what I love too about him is that, look, he's coming from a soccer background. And so who are players that have played at the SWBA level and have become very good players that were soccer players? Well, I think about Steve Nash. He was a soccer player, and he turned out to be a terrific player at the SWBA level. I think that just footwork and everything kind of translates. Maybe that's why he's pretty crafty right now with his handle. And then another player that, man, he is obviously a Hall of Famer here, and that is going to be Kobe Bryant. He also was a very good soccer player as well. And so, look, you have a couple players that have come from that background and become very good. And when you talk about just some of the intangibles that he has, look, he is supremely confident, and coming in as a freshman with one of the better players in the country right now, like I said, with Johnny Baldwin, who's a player that many scouts are just, they're salivating over the fact that, man, he is coming out and he's going to be available. But, man, to be out there with him and to still have that type of confidence and to still be trusted as a leader and really not run into anything like as far as any kind of locker room issues with Johnny Baldwin, it just lets you know, just from a strength standpoint and just from a leadership standpoint, how good he could be maybe in your locker room. You love the fact that he is an absolute trash talker out there, so he competes at a high level. And then when it comes down to the media and just when you talk to this young man, you could tell, man, that he is really an alpha. And so he is the type of guy that, look, if scouts are going to go get him, you got to make sure that, look, you have the correct locker room around him, because he's going to be a guy that has a strong personality, not mad at that. And I like the fact that he loves Paul George. It actually talks about how he saw a Paul George mixtape, and that was it for him. That really is what got him to maybe convert over into basketball. And so you could see a little bit of the shades of Paul George, especially with his shot creation and things like that. Now, his defense needs to get a lot better. I think that that's something that he's okay at. He can be a lot better, but this is why it's a future prospect. He is just a freshman. And so this is why, if he's already one of the better players on the team and he's playing with a lottery pick, you really must think that this is a guy that could certainly become very good. And so we're going to look quickly at just some of the things that, man, he's been able to do. And so this is him, and you get a chance to see him come off the screen and just see him as a passer, which I said I think it'd be a lot better. That was a nice alley-oop there to Johnny Baldwin. And then here he is just with the handle. Look at this step back right here. Beautiful, right? And so it's things like that that just really has the SWBA scouts really started to take a look at him. You're going to start to see him some more, I think, as the national spotlight shifts over to Hoopsteria. So anyway, let me know in the comments here, what do you think about, this future prospect here in co-web? Do you think that, yes, this young man, he's trending upward and he might have what it takes to get to the SWBA level? And also, too, let me know what your key takeaways were from last night's games. Once again, we'll be back here on this next episode talking more scoreboard action, and we'll be talking a lot more things that happen here in SWBA. I'll see you guys on the next one. See the game and be the game. All right, peace.